I think that's it.
That is the cheapest I've ever seen.
Welcome back, friends. So in a previous video, we built a budget overland awning that essentially used a really cheap tarp and 2 Coleman tent poles. The tarp came off the roof rack of my Jeep, the poles held it up, and that was the system. It worked quite well, but it had one really big failure point, for me anyway, and that was clutter. The back of my Jeep is pretty tiny, don't have a lot of space, and when you get one item that creates a lot of clutter inside there, it seems to be like a big snowball effect for me. And then I get a tower of Jenga blocks, and then I open that tailgate at the end of the day to grab, I don't know, water or a sweater, and they all come tumbling down, and then I inevitably have to repack all the gear every single day, and I don't want to do it anymore. I'm tired of that. So that's what a lot of these videos have been about, is fixing that system, and the Overland awning is no exception. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to build an Overland awning on a budget with some pretty simple tools and something that's not going to go inside the vehicle for storage. And I'm pretty excited about it. So let me show the parts so we can get started. All right, here's everything you need, minus the canvas, of course, to get this Overland awning going. So let's just go over this real quick so we can actually get started on this. One, you need a way to make a button. Now think of a boat cover or something like that when you're thinking about this system, and you'll probably get where I'm going with this already. And I went with this kit for a few reasons. One, it's got a lot of buttons, so if I mess up, I have a few chances. But two, it actually has the tools I need to make these buttons up. And then three, the actual like button bottom, I guess, not the snap part, but the button, I don't know what these are called, so just bear with me here. That actually has a screw through it and on the end, which is nice because that allows us to screw that button to the actual roof rack and then leave it there. Probably a bit more secure connection than trying to glue these or whatever on the rack. So that's why I went with that kit. Now this one right here you may not need. This is a grommet tool kit. You may not, like I said, you may not need it. My piece of canvas specifically is missing 2 grommet holes where I want to put the tent poles. So I need this, but again, if you get like a piece of canvas that I'm going to link to on Amazon that'll work for my roof rack that I was going to get before I found this piece of canvas in my stash of things, you wouldn't need this then. The other last 2 things, well, there's one more that I have off cameras because it's big, it's tent poles. But the other thing that you need is you're going to need some beefy stakes, or I'm going to say beefy. I really don't like the stakes that come with your tents. I don't like the stakes that you can get at Walmart, typically speaking, because they're cheesy and they bend or they don't hold in the ground. And these spikes, boy, will they hold. So that is what I'm going to go with for my, my tent stake. And then it's a brand new paracord because why not? Let's be honest, when don't you like getting a new roll of paracord? Something about paracord just, it speaks to me. I like it. Oh, and you'll notice we don't have a toggle here because we're not going to use a toggle to make a guy line. We are going to use a knot. So bonus tip, I will show that to you in the process. We're going to use a knot because we're not going to spend money on toggles for guy lines. The last thing you need, and I'll just show you these real quick, are some type of tent pole. These are Coleman branded ones. I kind of like them. I've had them for quite a while now off the original Overland awning video that we did, and I've used them quite a few times. As you can see, they've held up pretty well, and I've had no issues with them, so I'm going to keep using them until I have a problem. Anyway, let's take a look at the piece of canvas, and then let's get to installing this thing. All right, here it is. This is the piece of canvas we're going to use, and you might be thinking to yourself, Mark, that doesn't look new, and it looks a little funny. Well, you'd be right. It's not new, and it does look funny. It's not new because I picked it up at a yard sale a few years ago, had no use for it, just kind of put it on a few things here and there to cover things up. And it looks funny because the front is rounded and the back has these triangle corners and these little clips. So what do you think this could be from? Let me know in the comments. Okay, you have your answer? It's from a boat. It's a boat awning, right? Throw it over yourself so when you're cruising down the lake with your pretty cool friends behind you skiing and you're sitting there cruising, you don't want to get sunburned, you have your awning over you. Yeah, that's what that's for. And I thought it's the perfect material because it's actually pretty heavy duty canvas material, which is the perfect test material because I want to use canvas. I want something tough because this material is way, way tougher than you're gonna find on any Overland awning. Those things are like poly canvas. They're super thin, super light. This obviously is not. It's meant to take some wind, meant to take some abuse. And that's exactly what I want. I will link to the piece of canvas I actually want to use in Amazon so that you can, if this idea works. I just want to use this as a test, basically as a test piece to make sure the idea works before we spend money on something that's not going to work. So let's go over the idea real quick, and then I promise you we will get started. So we're going to take those screw ends of the buttons, whatever they are. We're going to screw them to the back of the railing here on my roof rack. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take the buttons and we're going to put buttons on the material, snap it on there, and then from there it's pretty simple. We're going to put a grommet in this corner. That's why I have the grommet kit, and like I said, you probably won't need it. We're going to put our tent poles up and our guy lines, and then, you know, make a awning like that. I think it's going to work really well. Another idea or another feature of this thing that I'm pushing on myself anyway is that the poles will actually roll up inside the material, roll up, throw over, and then we just bungee cord it to the roof rack, and it just stays there when we're on our trips. When we stop our trips, and we don't want the material hanging up there, and we pack everything away, the camping gear anyway, we can just unsnap it and then throw it in storage so that the sun isn't tearing it up from sitting outside for so long. Anyway, so that's the basic plan. I think it's time we get to drilling and get this thing installed. Let's do it. All right, it's installed. Let's go ahead and build the guy lines real quick and then take it outside and test it. Okay, here is my length of pair 550 cord. Now I burned the ends to make sure they don't unravel, and then on one I just tied a little square knot with a loop in it. That's pretty simple. This will be where our hook on my tarp goes, but if your tarp doesn't have hooks, this will go right over the top of that stem that comes out of the posts that hold your tarp up. So that's why we want that little loop. Now on this end, we're going to build what's called a taut line hitch knot. So to do this, we're going to bring the rope around itself like this, make ourselves a little loop. We're going to come around once, twice, and when we get here, we're actually going to go over this rope, come around, and go through itself like that. Now this is going to should make a pretty nice, neat little knot here. Let's cinch it all up, get it all nice and neat. Perfect. And that is what you should end up with. The cool thing about this, when you do this, is that if you pull tight, the knot won't move, but when you release tension, you can slide the knot wherever you want. Won't move, need less. Here again. This is going to be perfect when you put a stake in the ground. You'll essentially be able to grab one side of the line, loosen it, and then tighten it up. So now we have our lines built. Let's go ahead, let's get this thing packed up, get the Jeep outside, and set up for the first time and see what happens. Note, it's actually pretty windy outside, so this will be a really good test to see, one, if I can set it up in the wind, and two, if it will withstand some wind. Let's get out there. I'm going to clip my little guy lines on here. I'm just going to leave them on the tarp themselves. So this is what I was saying. They're going to clip here, but again, if you don't have those, you're going to have posts that come through this grommet. You're going to tie them onto that post there. So there's one. There's two. And then our posts, we're just going to set them right in here, right on the canvas tarp. and just start rolling. And then we'll take these things and just throw them in here like this. Everything is kind of straight, and then up we go. All right, cool. That's the idea. Now we throw a bungee cord around it to hold it on and head outside. Something like this I think will do just fine. Obviously more than one, but for testing purposes, we're just gonna use one right now. Let's see if we can get this thing set up. It's like 35-mile-an-hour winds right now, so we'll see how well we can do. It's my first time really setting this up, you know? Oh, looks like I put my guy line a little too long. That's okay. I just got to remember to put it out a little further. All right, now this one. Yeah, I like it. There you have it. It's all set up, pretty easy to do even in the wind. Looks like it's taking the wind pretty well, and honestly, it's not breezy out here. It's windy. It's like 30, 35-mile-an-hour gusts. I think it's 20 sustained. So it's doing pretty well, honestly. I mean, the Jeep helps shelter it some, but yeah, it's doing really well. I think I'm really gonna enjoy this. You know what? Let's take a final look at it. All right, there we have it. Whoa. Version 2 of the budget Overland awning, and it's really holding up to wind quite well. So, what do I like about this thing? Everything, actually. I think it's really nice. I love how it snaps to the vehicle so that when we're done using it, I can unsnap it and store it so the sun isn't destroying it or the weather. I like how easy it is to erect, even in this wind. It's pretty easy to put up, so that's pretty nice. It just shows you can put up pretty much any condition. And yeah, it gives enough shade. If I had to change one thing about it, it would be the length. I would like a little bit more shade coverage, but that's okay. That's easily changeable because in the future, what I can do is just get another piece of canvas material that's a little longer and then put more snaps in it, and I have another one. I like that it's a universal system and you can really customize it to whatever rig or however style or shape of shade you want, which is kind of what I was going for, something a bit more universal. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing down before the wind gets really bad because we're getting some pretty bad gusts out here. With that, hit the comments on the entire setup, what I did wrong, what I did right, questions, concerns, upgrades in the future, things I could change, all that stuff. Hit the comments below, let me know. Give a like if you like the video, subscribe for more videos in the future. And everyone, I really appreciate it. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.